The highway connecting Zacatecas and Durango is infamous for its desolate, arid landscapes, stretching endlessly with no sign of life for miles. However, among truck drivers and frequent travelers, it's known by another name, the Road of the Vanishing Passenger. According to those who dare to speak of it, anyone driving alone at night might encounter an unexpected traveler. No matter how hard you try to avoid them, if they choose you, there's no escape. Miguel was a seasoned bus driver who had spent years navigating this highway. He often dismissed his colleagues' warnings about the passenger, laughing off their tails. They claimed a lone figure could appear by the roadside, hitching a ride. If you didn't stop, something bad would happen before the journey ended. Miguel, a firm believer in logic, never gave these stories much thought. But everything changed. One cold January night, the fog was unusually thick that evening, clinging to the road like a shroud and reducing visibility to only a few meters. Miguel was driving an empty bus back to Zacatecas after dropping off his last passengers in Durango. The steady hum of the engine was almost comforting, but the vast emptiness of the highway began to feel heavier with every passing kilometer. Then, in a particularly dark stretch of road, he saw it, a figure standing on the shoulder, illuminated by the bus's headlights. It was a tall man wearing a wide-brimmed hat that obscured his face. His clothes were worn and dusty, as if he'd been walking for days. One arm was outstretched, pointing down the road, silently asking for a ride. Miguel, true to his pragmatic nature, decided to ignore him. Just someone playing tricks, he thought. But as he drove past, an icy shiver crept up his spine. A few kilometers later, the bus's engine began to sputter. The headlights flickered, and then the vehicle came to a complete stop in the middle of nowhere. Frustrated, Miguel cursed, under his breath as he stepped out to inspect the engine. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the crunch of his boots on the gravel. That's when he heard it, the sound of footsteps behind him. He spun around, but no one was there. Shaking his head, he climbed back into the bus, locking the door behind him. After a few failed attempts, the engine roared back to life. Relieved, Miguel adjusted the mirror to check the empty rows of seats. His relief turned to terror as he saw the man with the hat sitting in the back, motionless, staring straight ahead. Heart pounding, Miguel turned to look at the seat, but it was empty. He told himself he was imagining things and gripped the wheel tightly, determined to reach the next town. However, each time he glanced in the mirror, the man was there, closer each time. The faint sound of whispers began to fill the bus, too low to understand, but unmistakably real. When he finally reached a small town, Miguel pulled into a gas station and jumped out of the bus, leaving it idling as he ran inside. He refused to get back behind the wheel that night. Days later, when his colleagues asked what had happened, Miguel only said, "Some passengers don't want to reach their destination." From that day on, he avoided driving at night. To this day, drivers on the Zacatecas-Durango highway swear by the legend. They say if you see the figure, you must stop. But no one knows what happens when you do. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to follow our channel, share it with someone who loves horror, and let us know in the comments what other legends or tales you'd like us to tell. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey.